welcome inside our Sportsnet LA studio, joined tonight by, once again, Jerry Hairston Jr., and it's Bill Plunkett joining us tonight, a veteran of many winter meetings over the years, but you no longer have to travel there. You could just hang out here with us and still do your job. You miss it out there?
I wish I were there because it's the way you do the job, but no, I don't miss standing around a lobby, having tourists taking their Christmas vacation photos with you in the background, standing there.
Tourists?
Oh, yeah. Like the Gaylord in Nashville?
Yeah.
They come from miles around because of the Christmas decorations, and they take their family photos there. And then they go home and wonder who those
Just think how many family photos you've been in over the years.
All throughout Tennessee, yes. Hi, everybody.
I'll tell you what, fans, if you can, send it on Twitter, tag us. I want to see the pictures of Bill.
All right, let's get to it. The Dodgers have already added Blake Snell to their rotation. Now they can turn their attention to Japanese star Roki Sasaki. The 23-year-old has officially been posted, and today in Dallas, Sasaki's agent, Joel Wolfe, talked with the media about arguably the most coveted pitcher on the free agent market, what he might be looking for, and how a difficult time in Japan might impact his decision as well.
Not having an enjoyable experience with the media, it might be, I'm not saying it will be, but I don't know how he's going to view it. It might be beneficial for him to be in a smaller market. But I really don't know how he looks at it yet because I haven't had a chance to really sit down and, discuss it with him in great detail.
You mentioned Roki's former teammates with the WBC. How important is comfortability for Roki in his decision?
I don't know yet, to be honest. Roki's had a tough go of it the last couple of years. The media in Japan, not the Japanese media based here, I want to clarify that, but the media in Japan has been very tough on him. There's been a lot of negativity in the media directed at him because he has expressed interest at going to play for MLB at such a young age, and that's considered in Japan to be very disrespectful and sort of swimming upstream. He's not had a great time with it, and I think it's, my personal opinion, I think it's been a bit unfair, and it's affected him mentally a little bit, but he's a great kid, and he comes from a great family. I know his mother, I know his brother, and his dream is to come here to the major leagues. And I think that he hasn't really wrapped his head around the individual teams and the individual cities, and he just really doesn't know much about them. Most of the Japanese players don't because they don't get the opportunity to come here. He was here for a very small amount of time because he was fortunate enough to play in the WBC, but that was a very small glimpse of it. I mean, I think that there's an argument to be made that a smaller mid-market team might be more beneficial for him as a soft landing coming from Japan, given what he's been through.
Well, Joel Wolfe, he met with the media for almost a half hour today. He said Sasaki will start meeting with teams next week. Dodgers and Padres still considered the favorites. But, Jerry, those comments we heard a little bit curious because Wolfe saying that the media were really tough on Sasaki in Japan and that maybe a mid-market or small market might be more beneficial to him. L.A., obviously, not a small market.
Well, I am very uncomfortable by the words of what Wolfe, his agent, had to say. I even texted you, John, and texted a couple other guys of our staff when I heard the words. Listen, I thought he was talking a little bit too much and kind of maybe hurting his client a little bit. And again, he did kind of preface it, his comments, that he hasn't really sat down with his client yet. But then he went out and said, you know what, maybe it might be beneficial for him to play this small market team. Listen, when you're an agent, your job is to make sure you hear everybody's story, okay? 30 teams, especially if it's a young pitcher like Sasaki coming over from Japan, 30 teams, everybody in play. Now, a Soto guy, he's been in the big leagues. It's going to be 5 or 6 teams that were in play on him. He's been a big leaguer for 6 years. But when you're a free agent, and you're coming over here for the first time, you want to listen to everybody's offer and let the player kind of decide. When he was starting to pigeonhole him a little bit and saying, you know what, I don't know, maybe it might benefit him. And then when he started talking about the mental health aspect, I think he did a tremendous disservice to his client, because you can't get inside of his head. If you're an agent, you don't know him that well, you can't say that. So I'm surprised that he kind of said those type of things. And because as an agent, you're supposed to listen, not be so talkative. Very, very shocking to me.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that little bit. First of all, he talked for 30 minutes, but he also represents Nolan Arenado. And there were a lot of questions about Arenado's status mixed in that 30 minutes. The fact that he hasn't had these conversations with Roki, his client, that strikes me as odd. I mean, you knew going into this winter what it was going to be, what the process was going to be, how popular he was going to be. Have some conversations. Roki, what do you like? Where do you want to go? What are your priorities? As far as the mid-market thing, I know a lot of guys in the Japanese media. They'll find their way to Milwaukee or Cleveland or wherever he ends up. It's the big leagues. Yeah, it's going to be a story wherever he goes. And if he goes to a small or mid-market team, he's going to stand out even more, because he's going to be their one big move this winter. So maybe I'll give Joel's a good guy, smart guy, obviously. I'll give him one benefit of the doubt. In this case, it's not a bidding war. Teams can only sign him for the international free agent pool that they have. So less than $10 million every team. So the market is open for Joel. So maybe it was his way of signaling to the small and mid-market teams that, hey, you're in it too. Don't think you're not. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt.
And again, I hope that is the case. I don't know Joe Wolf. I don't know him at all. But again, and I kind of said that later on, every team's in play. All the 30 teams, whether it's a small market, mid-market, and the major market. And Bill, you kind of hit on it a little bit. If he's looking to be kind of a guy to get his feet wet a little bit and just kind of get acclimated to the big leagues, the Dodgers are the perfect fit for him. Why? Because guess who's getting all the attention? The Big Show. Then it's Yamamoto. He can kind of get in where he fits in a little bit, and also he can learn from Shohei Ohtani. Yamamoto as well, how to deal with the media, not just here in the United States, but also in Japan. So if that's the case, I think the Dodgers are the perfect fit, because you mentioned if he goes to a Milwaukee, if he goes to a Texas Rangers, San Diego, all eyes are going to be on him.
He's got to be the man from the minute he lands. The other thing about that is, if the media in Japan were really hard on him because he was making the decision to leave earlier than say Yamamoto or Maeda or guys that had longer careers in Japan, well, guess what? This is the exact same road that Shohei Ohtani took. He left at that age too. He left when there wouldn't be a bidding war and he wasn't going to, you know, soak up every last dime on the table. So, you know, they were probably a little hard on Ohtani at the time, too, and things seemed to work out okay for him.
They love him, trust me.
All right, well, as for the latest on what Andrew Friedman is trying to get accomplished this week and this offseason, Kirsten Watson caught up with the Dodgers president of baseball operations today in Dallas.
Well, Andrew, first, a couple of the free agents became official today with Michael Conforto as well as with Blake Trinan. Just what do those two guys, what do those additions do for this team, and kind of just looking for whether it's options off the bench, outfielder, as well as some more depth, especially in the bullpen?
Yeah, we're really excited about Michael. He's a guy that we've had a lot of respect for from afar. It's not often you can say this about a guy, but we feel simultaneously like he's a really good floor raiser, but also has some ceiling. And so as good as he's been, we actually think there's potentially even more in there. And hitting middle-ish of our lineup, the professional at bat, we think we'll have a chance to drive in a lot of runs and be in the middle of a lot of run scoring.
When it comes to the winter meetings, a lot of it's kind of looking ahead, but also checking in on some guys. So whether it's someone like Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, guys coming off of having surgery, just checking in, how are those guys doing and how is their timeline to return looking with spring training? Feeling like it's pretty much around the corner.
It's coming up on us. With Freddie, he just recently had it, and so everything went really well. and the legend of Freddie grows. The fact that, he was bummed that he had to have surgery, but I'm like, Freddie, look at it this way. The legend of Freddie grows. The fact that you did what you did in October and you needed ankle surgery. So we feel like he'll be able to hit the ground running when we get to spring training. And Shohei, it's everything we could hope to this point. He'll start getting into a progression at some point where he starts hitting off a tee and getting back to his throwing program. And then we'll have a much better feel for, expected time to return in the batter's box and then on the mound.
How do you all start prioritizing or looking ahead just to what his pitching schedule is going to look like, as well as someone like Yoshinobu, who you guys had him trying to stay more similar to his timeline in Japan, but maybe looking to get him on regular? Or how do you kind of look at approaching what the rotation is going to look like?
Yeah, I think one of the great benefits that Shohei provides is not counting against our 13 pitcher pool. And so it makes it really easy to do a 6-man. And so for Yamamoto and Ohtani, who both are very accustomed to that, to be able to continue to kind of bring them along that way, it doesn't mean that that's what we'll always do, but at least early in the year, there's no question we'll do that. We talked about it with Glass. We've talked about it with, some of our other guys, and feel good about that to get into the year, and then we'll continue to evaluate.
Do you see a slow playing of Shohei just coming off of the elbow surgery?
I wouldn't necessarily say slow playing. It's more we won't be super aggressive. We won't slow it down, but, he never really finished his throwing program last year because in October we didn't have him do the live BPs, just to not take on that added toll on his body during the playoffs. So there's still some stuff we want to finish with the throwing program, then kind of ramping up. So exactly when that is, we don't have a great feel for it yet.
Well, speaking of Japanese pitchers, of course, the big news today, Roki Sasaki being officially posted. How much of a priority is he?
He's a really big priority. He's someone that we have watched closely for years, have tremendous respect for. He's supremely talented, but a guy that, as good as he is and the ingredients he has in place, we feel like with our pitching guys, there's even more potential in there. He's talked about how he wants to be the best pitcher in the world, and we think he is definitely capable of that. So adding him to our mix would obviously be incredible, but all we can really control is putting together our presentation and hopefully getting an opportunity to meet with them and selling our organization, selling our city, the passion our fans have for the Dodgers, and putting our best foot forward to try to convince them to become a Dodger.
He's obviously an incredible young talent, but when you think about whether it was watching him in the World Baseball Classic with Team Japan, the things he's been doing playing in Japan, what stood out to you about him that does not only increase his value, but make him such a valuable, hopefully, acquisition for the Dodgers? Just the way the body, the arm, in a lot of ways, he's exactly how you would draw it up. So just the way the arm works, the fastball that's in place, the split, the feel he has for it is, a double plus pitch in the major leagues right now. So just the ingredients he's bringing without a lot of instruction to this point, and I'm sure with Mark and Connor and others that, there are some little tweaks and things that we've seen 33-year-old pitchers do and get better from that, putting their heads together. It's exciting about what that potential could be if only we can handle on the front end just convincing him to become a Dodger. Did the winter meetings feel different after winning the World Series?
No, but I think there's a lot of congratulations as you're walking through that at least for half a second remind you of what did happen. So maybe a little bit, but we're so focused on 25 that it's just those little half-second bites here and there.
Yeah, it's back to work and hopefully finding a way to repeat. Thank you so much, Andrew, and best of luck these next few days here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Straight ahead, the Blake train officially back in Dodger Blue for 2025. We'll discuss Blake Treinen's role after his dominant postseason run for your World Series champions. Plus, we'll catch up with the real DV, David Vassegh. Kirsten gets his thoughts on the Dodgers offseason so far and what's still to come. Blake Trinan's two-year, $22 million deal with the Dodgers became official today. Trinan's 1.93 ERA last season, ranked 10th among Major League relievers with at least 50 appearances, became a two-time World Series champion in October, allowing just 3 runs in 12 1/3 postseason innings in 2024. In 3 of his last full seasons, the Blake train sub-2 ERA. And Blake Trinan only had 1 save during the regular season. He had 3 saves in the postseason, 2 wins in the World Series. Jerry, what do you see his role being in 2025? Is he a closer now, or is he going to be used in basically the same kind of way where he's a high-leverage reliever that Dave Roberts can go to at any point? I
think it's a high-leverage reliever, really what the Dodgers have used in the last several years, making sure he's the guy you can count on to get those big outs, whether it's the 6th inning, 8th inning, or the 9th inning. So Blake Trinan obviously knows, Dave Roberts knows the coaching staff, how they love to use him. He's comfortable here. But I think most importantly, I think he understands this, and I think the coaching staff and medical staff understand this as well. Need to monitor his innings. Make sure he's fresh heading into the postseason once again.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the closer because there will not be a closer. How many years have we sat in here during the offseason and asked these same questions? They don't want a closer. They don't have a closer. They've never treated Evan Phillips with the kind of respect that you treat a closer with.
They don't really want a closer? They just maybe don't have one, a quote-unquote closer?
No, they don't want one. They let Kenley Jansen leave. And they didn't replace him, did they?
Well, it's Hollywood, guys. Nobody likes to get typecast.
Exactly.
Okay, you don't want to be typecast, so everybody
don't
can
put me in a box now.
A certain role.
Well, because of all the injuries to the Dodgers starting staff this past season, the bullpen had to take on a much larger role. We saw a number of bullpen games, Bill, especially in the playoffs. Really, they had the season-saving Game 4 in the division series against San Diego, and really the bullpen was taxed all year long. Do you think it's going to be more of the same in 2025, or do you think they would maybe like to lean on them a little less?
No, I think that every starting pitcher is going to stay healthy. Every injured starting pitcher is going to come back healthy and be at top form immediately. They will have so many starting pitchers, they won't know what to do.
Not to mention all the injuries to the relievers, too.
If you buy any of that, no, I think they're going to rely on the relievers the way they have in the past. Hopefully not to the same degree as the last 2 years, where they ended up with 3 healthy starting pitchers when October rolled around. And that's stretching the term healthy for Kershaw in 23. So I think there's plenty of work to be had among this bullpen.
I'm going to disagree with Bill. Okay, I don't think they're going to tax the bullpen. At least they don't want to. There's a reason why the Dodgers were very aggressive in signing Blake Snell. I think they're going to be even more aggressive trying to sign Roki as well. They need another starter to have 6, 7, possibly 8 starters. Obviously, we're going to get some guys healthy to make sure we do not tax our bullpen. That is the biggest key. We're wanting these guys to be healthy, but to pitch deeper in the ball games. Oh, by the way, there will be a 6-man rotation next year as well.
Yeah, Andrew Friedman reiterated that as well this afternoon. Meantime, David Vassegh, he's got a pretty good pulse on the team and what they're trying to get done this offseason. Earlier today, Kirsten talked with the real DV, the host of Dodger Talk.
All right, David, obviously lots of news has been happening while we've been here in Dallas. It's pretty different than last year in Nashville, where everyone was waiting for the news of Shohei Ohtani, with Juan Soto signing, with Willie Adames signing before coming here. What do you think that just kind of, how did that shift how things have been looking while we've been in Dallas?
Yeah, and don't forget about Blake Snell, right? That contract's looking a lot better by the day with the way Max Fried just signed an 8-year contract with the Yankees. The Dodgers got a 2-time Cy Young Award winner for a 5-year contract at a higher annual salary, but still, obviously, Andrew Friedman was not waiting around for other pitchers to set the market. And now with Roki Sasaki being posted, the 45-day window opening today, Kirsten, Andrew Friedman was very transparent that, yes, the Dodgers have interest in him, strong interest in him, and they're going to do everything they can to try to recruit him to sign with the Dodgers.
Just considering that some of the pitchers are coming back looking to get healthy, whether it's coming back from surgery, injuries they dealt with this last year, how important is someone like Roki Sasaki, who could be someone who potentially could be eating up some innings, but also putting himself in a good position to add just more value to what the rotation is going to be looking like?
Well, it would look very dominant if they were able to land Sasaki. It would be considered the best rotation in baseball. But it's also a long-term play as well. He's only 23 years old. And from what I've been told, he's still growing into his body, still growing into who he's going to be. His agent Joel Wolf said earlier today, you know, he doesn't want him just to take the highest international spending money from a team because it's short term. It's more about the career arc. So the Dodgers obviously fit everything that his agent was describing. But even if they were to sign him, or whoever does sign him, he's 23 years old. And the Dodgers have the infrastructure and the pitching depth to allow him to get his feet wet. And you know, obviously, if they were able to sign him, they would have 3 of the 4 dominant pitchers from Team Japan. Yu Darvish obviously being in San Diego.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of excitement around Sasaki's name, and hopefully we'll be hearing, likely in January, though, it sounds like, when he could be making decisions. Is that what you've been hearing thus far?
Yeah, his agent Joel Wolf also said that next week he's going to meet with teams, first round of interviews, and then once the holidays come and go, that's where the second round of interviews and the teams that he may have narrowed down, well, they'll have in-person meetings with Sasaki. So yes, at some point in January, it seems like that's when he's going to sign.
When it comes to just the other moves the Dodgers have made, you mentioned Blake Snell, but today it became official for Blake Trinan to be returning to the Dodgers. And then also it became official that Michael Conforto has signed with the organization. For Michael specifically, we obviously saw what Blake has done the last few years with the organization. What does Michael add, though, to the team?
Well, he kind of fills the role of Jason Hayward from a couple of years ago, right? I know Jason didn't finish the year with the Dodgers, but they never really replaced that type of power in the outfield from the left side. And if you look at Conforto's numbers away from San Francisco, his slug was considerably higher. So he's going to play every day going into the season, and also gives the lineup some balance with a left-handed power bat. Now, as far as Blake Trinan goes, he was obviously a hero. And now we're waiting to see if Teoscar Hernandez finds some common ground with the Dodgers. It felt like they were getting closer, but we haven't heard much since. So there obviously is something in between that needs to be met. And Andrew Friedman said he's hopeful, but also respects the fact that he has to go through the process. So Teoscar Hernandez meant a lot to the team, and obviously the Dodgers have acknowledged that.
Yeah. They're hoping to get him back, but I think, have you been seeing that just with the news, the deal that Juan Soto signed, of course, the news of Max Fried today, but do you find that that made a lot of impact on the market, and maybe that could be what's causing, whether it's the holdup or just kind of the change in interest or difference for someone like Teoscar Hernandez?
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was anticipating whoever didn't sign Soto all of a sudden was going to create a bidding war for Teoscar Hernandez. It doesn't seem like that has taken place. In fact, it feels like the 2 players that have gotten to bidding war from the losers in the Soto sweepstakes are Alex Bregman and Max Fried out of Encino, great 1-8, who just signed with the Yankees for the richest contract for a left-handed pitcher. So it feels like it was Fried and now Bregman that have the demand that the teams that lost on Soto have for a player like him. The Red Sox have interest in Bregman. The Yankees have interest still in Bregman. So it feels like that market for Teo hasn't really developed maybe the way he envisioned.
When you look at, though, just for the needs of the Dodgers, what do you think they need to address before the start of the 2025 season?
Yeah, I feel like there's still work to be done. Obviously, trying to sign Teoscar Hernandez and also Kike Hernandez. Not many people are mentioning Kike's name. He is a guy that when he started every game in the postseason, that's when things changed for the Dodgers. And when they signed him late last year, it was for October. I don't see anything that would have changed their minds about that. And as far as the bullpen, still got to add, relief pitchers. So it feels like the position player group is getting closer to being completed. Just more pitching probably would be on the agenda.
As you're looking at the free agency market, the trade market, are you finding that it seems like there are still some really valuable options, though obviously we've talked about a few of them, but that are still could be great additions for the Dodgers?
Yeah, it seems like we're hearing more transparency about players that may be available in trade and aren't happy with the teams that they're playing for right now. Nolan Arenado with the Cardinals, and also here in the lobby, and his agent is also Joel Wolf, Seiya Suzuki, wasn't happy being moved to DH, and there's some buzz about that. and also Cody Bellinger, former Dodger. His name's been linked to the Yankees as well. So it feels like there's a lot of things brewing, more so than at this time last year.
Yeah. This time last year, we were flight tracking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dave, thank you as always. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kirsten.
On this day 2 of the winter meetings, we'll get a national perspective on the Dodgers as well. Bob Nightingale talks with Kirsten about what he's hearing this week in Dallas about the champs. Plus, Teoscar Hernandez had the perfect year in Dodger blue. Home run derby champ, World Series champ, our top 10 from Teo in 2024. This tweet from ESPN's Jeff Passan, breaking! Left-hander Max Fried and the New York Yankees are in agreement. 8-year, $218 million contract pending a physical. Sources tell ESPN it is the largest guarantee in baseball history for a left-handed pitcher. And Bob Nightingale from the USA Today added details to Fried's deal, saying no deferrals, no opt-outs for the former Harvard Westlake product. From Dallas, here's Kirsten with Bob Nightingale.
All right. Well, Bob, today, I feel like these last few days here in Dallas have been pretty exciting with, of course, the news of Juan Soto setting the tone on day one. Today, Max Fried. How have you found just this winter meetings, how things are going, what the market's looking like right now?
I thought it'd be a little bit more busy after Soto, and it took a while for the Fried. Now I think things will start to break. Corbin Burns, I think, will be the next, and he'll get more money than Max Fried. And then I think you'll see the sluggers like Teoscar Hernandez, Anthony Santander, and go from there.
Yeah, when you look at just for the needs of the Dodgers specifically, of course, one of the big things was not only the returning of Blake Trinan. We saw Michael Conforto was officially signed today, but Blake Snell last week. What have you been seeing on the moves that they've been making this offseason thus far?
I think great moves. I mean, moves that they needed to make, and particularly getting Snell. I mean, now you got a, another ace in that rotation. Got Trinan, you need to get a closer back. And I think if they get Teoscar Hernandez, unbelievable winner. Even though everybody's spending all this crazy money, the Dodgers are still the best team out there.
Were you surprised to see with the Juan Soto, with that deal, kind of just the price point he was at and maybe the impact that might have moving forward?
I was stunned. I thought, okay, maybe $500 million, $550, but not, $765 million. Think about Shohei. I mean, he pays for himself. I mean, he brings in, over $100 million for the Dodgers and MLB. I'm not sure how many tickets Juan Soto sells, but certainly, Otani does. But I was surprised just because it blew everything away. I mean, it used to be the highest paid contract was Mike Trout in the 400s. So we blew past 500, 600, now 700 contracts.
Yeah. Do you find that it just seems like the dollar sign is just going up and up moving forward? I mean, do you feel like we could be seeing $1 billion player sometime soon?
I think this will stand for a while. This is the same hotel, Kirsten, that the 2000 was A-Rod. So he signed 10 years for $252. That blew everybody away. This was the Albert Pujols hotel when he signed his contract with the Angels. And now here we are. So maybe we need to go back to this hotel a few more times.
It sounds like if you're going to be a free agent, you want the winter meetings to be in Dallas. Well, Bob, when you think about just kind of what the Dodgers are looking to do moving forward, of course, the news today of Roki Sasaki being officially posted. Obviously, it's going to be a competitive market. People are, even his agent saying that, his options, he wants to kind of give everyone the right opportunity and a chance to show their interest. What do you think makes sense for a player like that? And how valuable would he be just going to the Dodgers?
Well, he's such a great young pitcher, 23 years old, and he's almost a freebie. I mean, all you have to do is pay international money, no more than $7 million, and you get control of him for 6 years. It's like when Shohei signed with the Angels for, $2 million. So I think he's only going to one of two places, either the Dodgers or San Diego Padres. The Padres, of course, have Yu Darvish, smaller market. So does he want to go to the big market, with his buddies and Otani Yamamoto, or does he want to go where his idol is in San Diego? I can't see him going anywhere else. Playing Southern California, the closest to, Japan, is such a great place to pitch in Southern California. Great pitchers' ballparks, and they win, particularly the Dodgers. I mean, I think the Dodgers are, the ultimate destination now, where you're going to be in the playoffs every year and have the best chance to win a World Series every year, too.
Well, it sounds like, thank you, first of all, always, but it sounds like hopefully some more things will be moving now that the Max Fried news, he's off the table, and we'll see what else happens. So thank you so much, Bob.
My pleasure. Thank you, Kirsten.
All All right, more news today also from Jeff Passan. Breaking: the Toronto Blue Jays finalizing a trade to acquire three-time Gold Glove winning second baseman Andres Jimenez from the Cleveland Guardians. Sources tell ESPN our camera operator Brett not happy about that, being a big Guardians fan. But the Jimenez deal is the first significant trade of this offseason. A lot of big names reportedly are on the block. You've got Nolan Arenado, Devin Williams, Garrett Crochet, Luis Robert Jr. Bill, do you expect the trade market to be a busy one this winter as some of these free agents start to sign?
Yeah, I would not say busy. I think you have to put those names into two separate lists. A guy like Arenado, where the Cardinals are just trying to move on from him and get out from under some money, yes, I do think that he's going to move before spring training. But these other guys, like Garrett Crochet, why would the White Sox move him now when in July prices go up on everything and you can get a better return? You should have traded him last July, honestly. Same thing with Luis Robert. But I think a lot of the new age thinking in front offices is to maximize that return by waiting until the trade deadline when you can get a bidding war going. You're not going to get that going right now.
That makes sense. And you're right. Historically speaking, you get the most bang for your buck at the trade deadline. Going to Crochet with the White Sox, that was the time to trade him. This past trade deadline, I thought they could have got the most. But now I feel like the White Sox, Crochet has an opportunity to be traded this winter. Also Robert as well. I really believe the White Sox are going to trade Robert as well. Back to Nolan Arenado. I think he will be traded. I know rumors the Dodgers are in the mix, but I think they really want to get underneath that salary. I think Nolan Arenado wants to move on, so I think they're going to oblige him. I think he gets traded this offseason.
皆さん、ここまでお付き合いいただきありがとうございました。2024年はドジャースにとって歴史的な年となり、素晴らしい瞬間の数々が生まれました。ワールドシリーズ制覇を果たし、ファンの皆さんと喜びを分かち合えたことは、私たちにとってかけがえのない思い出となりました。特に印象的だったのは、選手一人一人の活躍とチームの一体感です。スネルの安定感抜群のピッチング、と来年のポストシーズンでの勝負強さ、そしてヘルナンデスが見せた力強いスイング、これらの瞬間が、ドジャースのチームとしての力を示してくれました。そして、この成功を支えてくれたのは、何よりも皆さんの熱い応援です。また、日本の若き才能を、佐々木朗まれ選手への注目も見逃せません。今年の冬季ミーティングでは、多くのチームが彼に興味を示している中、ドジャースがどう彼を迎え入れるかが話題となっています。彼のような才能が加わることで、チームの未来がさらに明るくなることは間違いありません。佐々木選手の成長とともに、新たな世代のスターが生まれることを楽しみにしています。彼が私たちの青いユニフォームを着て、マウンドに立つ日が待ち遠しいですね。さて、2025年に向けて、私たちはさらなる挑戦に挑む準備を進めています。新たな選手たちの加入と、既存の選手たちの努力によって、次のシーズンも間違いなくエキサイティングなものになるでしょう。そして、ファンの皆さんと共に再びワールドシリーズの頂点を目指します。この目標を実現するためには、チーム全員が一丸となり、それぞれの役割を全力で果たすことが必要です。さらに、私たちはドジャースファミリーの絆を強くするために、様々なイベントや活動を計画しています。これには、ファンの皆さんが参加できる交流イベント、特別なオンラインコンテンツ、そして選手たちとの触れ合いの場が含まれます。これらの機会を通じて、私たちのチームとファンとのつながりをさらに深めたいと考えています。また、ドジャースの歴史に触れる特別企画や、若い世代のファンに向けた教育プログラムも予定しています。これにより、私たちの文化やスポーツへの情熱を次世代に伝えることができるでしょう。ファンの皆さんが感じる誇りと喜びをさらに大きなものにするため、私たちは努力を惜しみません。 私たちのストーリーはここで終わりではありません。これからも皆さんと一緒に新たなページを作り上げていきたいと思っています。ぜひ、チャンネル登録をして、最新の情報をキャッチしてください。そして、コメントで皆さんの感想や期待することをお聞かせください。どのような意見でも、私たちにとっては大切な宝物です。皆さんの応援が私たちにとって最大の力となります。さらに、SNS でのハッシュタグドジャースを使って皆さんの熱い思いを共有してください。あなたの投稿が他のファンにも勇気と喜びを届けるかもしれません。また、公式ウェブサイトでは新シーズンの最新情報や限定グッズの販売も行っていますので、ぜひチェックしてみてください。ドジャースファミリーの一員として、2025年も共に歩んでいきましょう。私たちの目標は、ただ一つ、再びワールドシリーズのトロフィーを手にし、皆さんとその喜びを分かち合うことです。そのために、選手、スタッフ、そしてファンの皆さんが一つになって歩んでいきましょう。次回の動画でお会いできるのを楽しみにしています。それでは、またお会いしましょう。